Okay, I'm so glad we played an exhibition game today. The last couple of years, we've done a couple of scrimmages in preseason every time, and this is exactly why we need exhibition games. I really like, I knew Coach Cole, who's in his first year down there at East Central, comes from a fantastically disciplined Division II program at Northeastern State down in Tahlequah, and his girls were again today, and so that was a great opponent for us to play. My overall, I have more of a feeling of frustration today than I had last Saturday against Rockhurst, just because we didn't come out with an intensity and a focus, and we just didn't play that hard, to be real honest, at the start of the game, and I think that just kind of spread into, there was kind of just a lethargic feeling to how we took the floor today, and it spread into a lack of discipline on blockouts. I thought we fouled too much, late in the game, putting the opponent on the free throw line. We pride ourselves in working hard to take away the three-point shot, and 80% of the shots that East Central attempted in the first half were from behind the arc. And that just shows that we're not getting up and closing out and putting ball pressure on. So more of a feeling of frustration, and we ended up subbing from a defensive perspective for the rest of the game today. We've got players that can come in and can kind of open up the lane for us a little bit with their outside shooting. But to be real honest, I wanted to just play my best defenders for the whole day, because that's what we needed to get over the hump today. So just I felt like we didn't, we should have had a more fulfilling experience, but it's our fault we didn't. So that's kind of the coach's take on going into this one.
Coach, you guys did a great job on the boards tonight. Just talk a little bit about how that helped your game, offensively as well as defensively.
Well, I was one of the things that is a little more difficult in a day like today is that Vicky ends up being real isolated down inside defensively, because they're looking so much for the three-point attempt. And I thought in the second half we had certain combinations that we did a really good job of not letting them turn the corner and not giving up the three-point shot either. But with long threes come long rebounds, and I didn't feel like our guards did as good a job. I felt like they kind of cut corners and wanted to kind of start releasing and getting up the floor in transition. You can't go if you don't have possession of the basketball yet. So even though we won the numbers on the board, I think a huge credit of that just goes to Vicky. I don't think we shared responsibility for that as well as we needed to as a team, with all 5 players doing that. And then I thought we had a couple of moments that I think Jordy Gilbert showed this. She did it twice, but she got the outlet pass from Vicky, and she went coast to coast and put it off the board and got fouled. And I thought we should have, that kind of told me that we weren't running as hard as we're capable of running back in offensive transition either, because if Jordy could do it with the ball in her hands, we should have had players who were doing it without the ball in their hands. So it was good that we controlled the boards, but it was just, I don't know if we deserved it or we just, we were just 6'7" inside. I think that's a big part of it, so it's nice to know that we can do that with Vicky, and obviously she has great value to us for that reason, but it's a little bit of a whitewashed tomb today, I think also. I really don't want us to have a comfort zone about how we control the boards today.
Did you think it was the same kind of perspective on your guys' offense and scoring, how Vicky had a lot of the points, but then your production outside of her wasn't? Was that where you wanted, or what do you need to work on?
The great thing that we experienced in this exhibition game today, David, was that this is what I think is going to happen a lot with some Summit League teams and things, is that there's going to be a packing in that's going to happen because of Vic's size inside. And we're not showing all of our cards yet either. Just in 2 exhibition games, this film goes up, and you kind of don't want to, you don't want to necessarily put your perfect foot forward this early in the season. We've got other alternatives and things that we can do as well. But I do believe that we have to be prepared to score in a number of different ways. And for instance, today, we did a lot of high-low stuff with Deddy and Vicky. And where the help was coming in from the backside, we never made the direct pass to our teammate who the help was coming off of her. We kept swinging it around to her through a go-between, and then they had time to recover and get back out. That's where Jordy Gilbert's late 3 in the corner came from. We finally made the right cutoff pass. We had another one across the opposite direction to Jordan Doyle, and she hit a 3. And, those 2 plays, and probably Toy's 3 that we got also on Jordan's drive, those 3 threes kind of finally gave us some breathing room, and that was 3 possessions of probably 45, that had we done that, it could have been a different story. So it's just... it's one of those things we are learning. You know, we're learning. We are obviously a completely different team this year just because of having a 6'7" center inside. And part of that, as much as some of our seniors have really developed and matured since last year, this is their first time really getting to play with Vicky and her with them, and we're kind of still figuring some things out. I had kind of some favorite moments today, like Jordy drove and kind of dropped it off to Vicky, and you know, we're just they're figuring out how to play together still right now. And that was one of my frustrations in the first half, is I didn't feel like we shared the ball with each other. Everything was very one-on-one at times when we were pretty stagnant offensively.
How do you think your rotation is going to change now you go from exhibition to regular season? Is this the kind of rotation you want to run, or do you think there'll be different things going forward?
We've got some different things that are going to be coming. Are you referring to personnel? Is that kind of more what you're referring to?
Personnel, minutes.
Yeah, I think we're going to play. I think we're going to play 9 or 10 deep all season. I just think that some of the players that didn't get to play as much. I thought Carolina Lopez really did a good job coming in today and did some good minutes for us. But, you know, Vicky was just cleaning every board up for us today. And so I kept going back to her and getting her back in and getting more minutes. I would have played Detty more, but she got herself into foul trouble on a couple of reaching fouls. So Lena's kind of there, you know, in the background. I think Faith Iam didn't see the floor a lot today, but I think Faith is going to be a big part of who we become as we get deeper into season and we get some more experience under our belts. But we had some freshman moments today, you know, as far as some of our younger players kind of trying to figure some things out for the first time, and you know, that's part of it. You know, we've got 5 seniors and we've got 6 freshmen/sophomores, you know, and so the young ones are kind of figuring out how to put it together at game time right now still.
Vicky, could you talk about your night? If this would have been a regular season game, you would have tied the ORU single game record for rebounds.
Didn't know that. You know, I struggled offensively, and so I just figured I got to make up for it on defense. I got to get every board. So that's what I did. You know, I'm still trying to find my rhythm and everything like that. So I feel like it'll just come, but it's defense all the way. So.
Do you expect, I mean, obviously things are going to get tougher next week against Baylor, but how much of this is a product of you guys are playing a D2 school versus, you know, your talent and what you guys are able to do?
As far as our team?
Yeah. As far as you personally?
Me personally? I mean, I think, again, it's us as a whole getting into a rhythm and understanding where I'm going to get my looks and where they're going to get their looks. And I think once we figure that out, when they know when I'm open and they understand when they're open, we're going to be a totally different team than what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that, unless you've been a post player, it's hard to kind of know this. Some of your most difficult games a lot of times, too, can be against 5, 10 post players, you know, when you're 6, 7. I mean, just constantly like, where are they? You know, trying to kind of get a seal on them and not knowing where the help's coming from. And in some ways, I'm really looking forward to seeing our 2 BCS level games next weekend, because they're going to guard Vic one-on-one. You know, I mean, they're going to have somebody that can match up with her size-wise. It's going to be more of a one-on-one situation for her inside. And, you know, when you're being guarded by when you're being guarded by 2 or 3 people in a rotation against a smaller team, it's just kind of like swatting flies sometimes, you know, kind of trying to catch it clean and score it clean. So I'm looking forward to seeing how she responds to that next weekend, and how that maybe kind of opens up some other situations for us as well. But, you know, the great thing about it was is that we could lean on her, you know, and it's good to know that we can do that. But at the same time, it's got to be a shared burden, you know. It's got to be a shared responsibility throughout this season, and it will be. This is a group that, chemistry-wise, they know that. You know, we know that we didn't put our best foot forward today in the locker room. You could see it in our faces and hear it in our comments, and but it's as long as it's a learning experience, fantastic. As long as we can kind of take some things that we learned today and apply it and not repeat it, it's a good day.
Coach, next week you guys play Baylor, and they're a team that's known over the past couple of years of having a really good inside game and post players. So talk about how you guys plan to attack. Are you going to like go a couple bigger lineups with Vicky and Carolina in there together?
You know, I think I like Deddy and Vicky together. I like Deddy and Lena together. We don't see a lot of Lena and Vicky together in practice. They're usually beating each other up in practice, you know, but I think we'll probably see more situations to where Lena will need to kind of come in a little more consistently to spell Vic for a couple of seconds, come back out again. We've got some things that we can do defensively with smaller lineups, some things that we do with bigger lineups and stuff too. So I'm looking forward to it. There's no you get to go play in front of probably 10 to 12,000 great women's basketball fans in both venues. And our freshmen are going to have big eyes, and so there's going to be a lot of really neat experiences for us to take. But we had two very different exhibition games as far as how we were guarded and what we were able to get out of it. And both of them will benefit us as we go back and we look at video and as we prepare. There will be things that we will learn about ourselves when we're against Baylor and Tennessee next weekend, that the same thing is going to happen. But all of it is in preparation for what comes January 2nd, when the Summit League race starts. And everything is 0-0 again there. And I think we've got some good diversity in what we can do as a team. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm going home frustrated that we didn't play our best basketball here at the Mabee Center today for our fans and for our family members and everything. But at the same time, I'm going home real excited about practice on Monday, because there's so much stuff that we can apply. So.